we thought it'd be kind of cool if this first episode we go dive deep into my brand's Black Friday, Cyber Monday strategy and kind of how we go about the budget, how we go about the offer, choosing an offer, how we kind of strategize the entire ad placement where we're putting all the ads, as well as the creative content. That's probably going to let Casey really dive deep on that. Because he's a creative guy.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the creative when we do these sales events. As a business owner, a lot of times we take pride in the imagery that we put out. Like, it has to look good and all this. And us as creatives, we take a lot of pride in that too, right? But finally having that ability to actually test, sometimes that DIY stuff actually outperforms the super nice. But then there's sometimes that you need that super nice.
In the marketing world, we all got to be more transparent. We gotta share more ideas. We gotta actually say what we did. I'm Cody, and I'm a twin, and this is the Twin Marketers Podcast.
And I'm Casey. I'm the other twin.
Yeah, I was gonna say that good-looking guy over there that looks just like me is my twin. And we both work in the marketing industry. And this is our first ever podcast episode. It's going to be pretty fantastic. We're going to be doing something that we hope none of you have ever seen before. I'm more of the strategist guy. Casey is the creative guy. I think I can just play on music on my computer and the mic will pick it up. Apparently that doesn't work that well.
Let's give them a little background. Mom and Dad were actually going to name us Bert and Ernie or Calbert and Cheney. And they settled on Casey and Cody. So I'd like to know if people like our actual name, or if they think that would have been better Bert and Ernie.
Bert and Ernie would have been a good one. Calvert and Cheney, my dad was a big IU fan. R.I.P., the GOAT.
I don't know if he's the GOAT, but he's definitely the general.
The general. R.I.P. the general. Sorry.
So that was my little background. The real background is that I think we should give them a little background on why we're even doing a podcast. So me and Cody as twins, one of the things, I've talked to so many other twins, and they almost all agree that your twin is probably your best friend. And Cody and I, what's funny is that we played the same sports growing up. We were into basically all the same things. We worked at the same places. I remember in college, we worked at a golf store together. And somehow Cody went to study actuary, math, and I went and studied radio and television to make videos. And yet we both ended up working in marketing in different capacities. I run my own agency called Captivated Content. And Cody works for a big e-commerce brand. He's worked for many e-commerce brands, and he's kind of a digital marketing strategist. So, Cody, you want to talk about a little bit about your background?
Yeah. So my background is 7 years in e-commerce, and to Casey's point, I did study actuarial science, but really what I call it now is like financial mathematics with a minor in statistics. Basically, what I do is I use my math degree every day to figure out if something's profitable, a campaign in particular, and how to kind of operate my e-com business. Like you said, I've been running this e-com, been kind of on this team for the past 4 years now, but I've been in e-com for 7 or 8 years. That's probably going up now. I bet it's getting now close to 10 years. It's just 7 sons. I like that number. When I said what is going to be super unique about this podcast is that we as marketers have struggled getting exact examples of how people do something, And since it's Black Friday, Cyber Monday, the best time in e-com, we're actually going to dive deep into, it's also caramel brulee, Starbucks coffee.
I thought that's caramel brulee.
Caramel brulee. That's the correct way of saying it, the British way, but it's fine. Anyways, we thought it'd be kind of cool if this first episode we go dive deep into my brand's Black Friday, Cyber Monday strategy and kind of how we go about the budget, how we go about the offer, choosing an offer, how we kind of strategize the entire ad placement where we're putting all the ads, as well as the creative content. That's probably going to let Casey really dive deep on that. Because he's a creative guy.
In full transparency, we both bring a unique perspective to this because Cody actually hires our company to do the creative, at least the video side and a little bit of graphic design, but mostly the video side. I just want to throw out that disclaimer, I guess, so that they know, like, we're not just breaking down your campaign because it's just your campaign. We have a little bit of, not saying it, but we help you a little bit on that. So.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to CaptivatedContent.com and shout out to Casey for making this awesome logo like super quickly. So, if you need graphic design work, they don't like doing it, but they'll do it. Go ahead and go to CaptivatedContent.com and, reach out. Casey will be extremely happy about it.
Yep, I'll probably have Mason cut that out. That seems too salesy.
Oh, Casey says it seems too salesy, but he's stupid because that's the whole point, is that you need to drop your brand in there.
What's unique about what you guys do for Black Friday and Cyber Monday? And it's a sales event, so I think we're going to kind of dive into one of the things that your brand has done a lot of, which is teasing sales events, doing signups, getting people excited for sales events, and then retargeting them with ads. So like if you're a digital marketer, you're hearing terms right now that hopefully resonate with you. But if you're not a digital marketer, basically what Cody does for these sales events is he creates a hype campaign. So like a few weeks before the actual event happens, he gets people excited for it with ads, and then he captures their emails. So he's able to retarget and let them know that the sale is live. And he doesn't just do that with email marketing. He also does it with retargeting on like Facebook and TikTok and all things like that. But Cody, can you kind of talk about a little bit about, I guess, specifically this Cyber weekend sales event?
So we're not really sure when this podcast is going to come out. Hopefully it comes out before Black Friday, Cyber Monday. And if you guys like it, then we're going to come out with the results of this strategy. I've been kind of practicing for this. So the way that I was going to kind of go about this is talk about in kind of 5 sections, determining your offer and your profitability, making sure that basically you're developing an enticing offer for the consumer as well as it's profitable for your business. And then we're going to go dive into the ad placement and then the actual creative after that. So first off, offers. What kind of offer are we going to be doing here for our Black Friday, Cyber Monday? So first off, one of the best things that you got to think about is an offer doesn't just show up. Usually you need to practice it. You need to see if it works at other times. And we have done this offer multiple times. We've actually split tested 2 offers. And it's going to be a BOGO free. So that's the offer that we came across. Why did we go with BOGO free over maybe like 50% off? Because if you do the math, they essentially are the same thing. You're getting buying one at full price, getting one completely free. You divide that by 2, you're basically buying 2 at half off, right? It's all about increasing your average order value and combining shipments. And it's actually more profitable for us to do the BOGO free. And then the word free is awesome. It entices customers. Like if you have an opportunity to put the word free in your offer for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, or any sales event for that matter, go ahead and do it because customers eat that up. They eat that crap up. That's not crap. That's good stuff.
Will we stop in there?
Oh, ask me my next question.
Well, I mean, you said you were going to break
that
down
was
the
the
5.
offer.
You said the 5 steps. So
Yeah.
I didn't know if you wanted to keep going.
Well, you're supposed to lead me into the next.
Yeah, I wasn't really listening to you. You started rambling on, but which is actually happens a lot with us. Well, I was actually going to bring up well, first tell me what's the next step, and this might go to my next question. What after you have the offer?
After we have the offer, first off, when you develop this offer, you got to make sure it's profitable, right? So that's the next step is projecting out the sales, right? And for us, we've done enough sales events now that we kind of got a pretty good pulse on the return on investment we're going to get. We got a good pulse on how many people are going to see it, and kind of what the breakdown of our products are going to be purchased. So what we typically do is we look at sales events from the previous year. So, and then maybe something that has already happened this year. That's what I did this year because we had a BOGO free event on Memorial Day. And I was able to look at last year's Memorial Day sales and then the lift that happened this year. And I was able to project out where it was. So we had basically a 200% lift from Memorial Day last year to this year. And I'm going to make the assumption that Black Friday is going to be the same. We're going to have a 200% lift, which basically brings us to our goal over Thanksgiving Thursday through Cyber Monday should be $700,000. So that's going to be pretty awesome to see if we can hit that goal.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the creative when we do these sales events. One thing as a business owner or you can be a small business owner, you can be a e-commerce business owner. A lot of times we take pride in the imagery that we put out. Like it has to look good and all this. And us as creatives, we take a lot of pride in that too, right? But the one thing with working with Cody and finally having that ability to actually test really nice creative versus, a little bit not as nice, and then even just DIY with your cell phone creative, we can see that sometimes that DIY stuff actually outperforms the super nice. But then there's sometimes that you need that super nice, or that data actually shows that, like, oh, this actual more polished piece of creative actually works better than this cheap one that we thought might work, because on this last sales event, the cheap one worked. But can you talk about why you should be how do you get the most out of your creative? And I'm kind of alluding to it a little bit in testing and things like that. And so how do you get the most out of your creative, and what's probably the most important aspect of your creative?
In my opinion, the most important part about the creative, and this is just, again, going to that sales event philosophy, is mirroring everything out. Make sure that everything kind of matches, and you make a big event out of it. Switch out your homepage, switch out your email graphics, and make sure your graphic ads on social matches what's going to go on there. You probably, if you're in marketing, you kind of know this stuff. But as for kind of the quality of the ads, that was the thing. This year was the first year we basically dabbled in quantity over quality. Like, our goal was, okay, we don't know what works. Let's be honest. Most of us don't know what we don't know, right? So we're going to test a lot of different creatives, and it also depends on the platform, right? So for us, we're doing YouTube TV. That's part of the strategy, and we'll dive into the strategy a little bit more here in a little bit. But we'll be doing YouTube TV ads. Those are going to be a little bit more polished. They're going to be more professionally done. That's going to be done by Casey's team. But then on social media, we have a little bit of Casey's creative, where it's basically me on camera talking about it, hyping up with the products in my hand, hyping up the BOGO free, as well as we have user-generated content, iPhone footage that also hypes up the sales event. Now, the reason I think the UGC content worked really, really well on social is that people relate, right? They relate to, first off, people relate to you on camera. I wasn't a big believer in this probably a year ago, but here I am. People want to see you on camera. They want to see you actually promoting your product and talking to them directly. And I think the return on investment that or the return on our ad spend really shows that this year, that people care a lot about that UGC style content.
Yeah. And we do a lot of content for you guys. And one of the things is our most quantity is Cody on camera. We have a little studio at their office. Cody's partner in the business. He already was starting to do a little bit of video himself. So he installed a little studio in their office and stuff. So we just modified it a little bit, and then we brought in our lights to make Cody look a little prettier. But I will say, I wasn't sure how this was going to work. We were like, all right, we're going to knock out 15 to 20 videos. And this is not part of the sales event, but it's important because every month we do these 15 to 20 what we call topical videos. It's just value-based videos that Cody and their teams can use as ads or organic content on TikTok, on Facebook. And we shoot it in 4:3 format, so old school TV format, but at a higher resolution, so that we can edit it in HD, so 16:9, or 9:16, or 4:5, or square, or 1:1 format, so that it can be repurposed on all these different platforms. And we actually use that same style. Instead of 15 to 20, we may do 6 to 8 ads for the sales event. And again, most of them are Cody on camera. The only time we try other things is if we're like, hey, we need to showcase this product in use, whether it's a new, one time it was a product launch and we had to showcase it in use, and we have a lot of B-roll or cover footage that we've got over the years that we're able to tug in. But I think the other thing that people might find interesting, and we don't always do it for sales events. I don't know if we're doing it for this sales event, but we have before, using influencers during your Black Friday sales event.
So let's dive a little bit into that, the overall arching strategy. So a few years ago, I was trying to figure out how to you see so many people, so many brands on social advertising, a deal is happening right now, right? And I was like, man, we tried that and there was no interest, right? And Casey mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, with the hype campaign, a lead up campaign is basically to do just that, hype it up. But for me personally, I wanted a call to action. I wanted to make them do something so that I could kind of track the results a little bit, get their information. And it was pretty simple. We set up the subscribe event on Facebook, and we call it sign up as a sign up landing page. And we basically tell people that, hey, sign up to get notified, to get access to this deal. And we basically, a couple weeks starting out, we start hammering that message hard. And, for this particular business, we've started 3 weeks. We've already started it. It started yesterday. So one day in, Kind of the results right now are about $2.30 per sign up, which is pretty good considering a couple of our Prime Day ones were about $7. So it's cool to see that cost was going down per sign up. But as for the influencers and affiliates, that's something else. That's another thing that we bring in. So like we, again, mirroring up content. So we know we have this offer going, so we get our influence affiliates in on it. Typically how we pay them, our better influencers are commission based, and we basically pay them a commission on the sales that they drive through their referral links. And they do a pretty good job. They do pretty well. I think Memorial Day, they probably drove like $100,000 worth of sales just through 3 or 4 of our bigger influencers. So that's really cool to see them kind of participating and helping to drive incremental value for our e-com business.
Sweet. Yeah. So you do the hype campaign. So you're now getting signups or like, for instance, I mean, talk a little bit right now. Like we've already launched the Black Friday campaign, and it's 2 days. The hype campaign is what, 2 or 3 days going.
Yeah.
What kind of results have you seen now? And then to someone who's listening to, like, I know me and you were talking about, hey, what are we gonna do with this podcast? So it's gonna be mostly us being twins that work in marketing, bantering a little bit. But I can't help but say, let's think about some value that we can give to someone that's listening. That if they stumble upon this very first episode we're doing, they're like, oh wow, that's a good little knowledge nugget or whatever.
Yeah.
So talk about some of the results you're having right now, and like maybe like what they may be able to take away from that.
So let's think about the consumer kind of process of coming to your Black Friday, Cyber Monday event. Now, we're just going to talk about the website side. We do actually have an Amazon portion of this, but it'll just get confusing if we talk about both. The BOGO freeze happened on our website, right? So we try to think, where are they seeing potentially, first off, where can we serve our ads? And okay, how do they all interact? So one of the first things you can think of is like YouTube TV, right? So we got a YouTube TV, and we have a QR code that if they scan that, they can go straight to the sign up page. But let's be honest, not all of us scan it. Not like that Super Bowl ad that everyone scanned. But
QR code just bouncing around.
Yeah, I mean that was cool, but like most people don't do it. Like you don't, and a lot of times you're not on the screen long enough for them to even get their phone out and scan it. But it is a brand awareness page, brand awareness play. Thank you. So what could they do next? So the next thing they might do is they might search Google. They might say, I'm kind of interested in that company. They might search your brand and then BOGO free, right? And what we're doing there is we actually set up Google search ads to capture these leads so that when they come there, boom, now we've seen that. Even better is we have a third-party attribution software. Shout out Northbeam. First off, I'm not getting referral fees for any of these. I'm just going to shout out some of the software I use. But Northbeam.io, great third party. They have this attribution model, which basically says anytime a customer searches like a branded search query, and that's the last thing they did, they'll actually attribute the sale back to something prior to that. So you'll actually see that sale or that sign up go to YouTube. Now, what else? Okay, maybe they still haven't signed up. They search just your brand name and they're just looking at your thing. Well, now we hit them with the social media retargeting ads that will then potentially drive them to purchase. So just kind of some results, how we do the social media, that's where I was trying to get to is, like I said, set up the subscribe event. That's a really good way. Like, we actually did this for another company. I worked with Casey, and I captured content with another brand. And one of their head digital marketer thought it was just one of the coolest things. The data that was shown in Facebook matched the data that was shown in their email platform, which was, again, another shout out, Klaviyo. We use them as well. And that's a cool thing to see. But one of the things we found out when we were purely subscribed, and this was actually about, I think it was January was the last time where we just did a subscribe event for the lead up campaign, was that we weren't telling Facebook to target people that are potentially going to purchase. We were just telling target people that'll sign up, that are interested in this. And our conversion rate was pretty bad. Like, it's not terrible, but I think we had like over 1,000 signups at this particular event, and it was like an 8% conversion rate. Well, my digital marketing agency, one of my ad placers that I use, they came up with the idea of let's do purchasing and subscribe at the same time. this sends signals to Facebook to tell them basically, hey, we want to not just people that sign up, but we want people that sign up that are eventually probably going to purchase. And we did that for our Memorial Day BOGO event. And our conversion rate, we got a crap ton of signups, and it shot up to about 23%. Now, it did increase that cost per lead. I think we went from less than $2 up to like $3.50. But, the return was just so astronomical that the cost per lead didn't really matter because that conversion rate was so high. So just, that's a little tidbit, marry up that purchase campaign with the subscribe campaign. You're still sending these purchase campaigns to the sign up page. But it just won't show up. I think if they make once you start making purchases on those campaigns, it'll start telling you how many people signed up from it. Oh, actually, it says it here. So from our purchase campaign, if I just hover over it, it actually says we've had one of them, we've already had 110 signups, and the other one we've had 42, and then another one we the subscribe event. Oh, we just went up 135 and then 64. So I think we're at. I just refreshed this. So we're over less than a day. We have about 430 people telling us they're interested in our sales event.
That's pretty good. What do you have a goal for how many signups you want?
So normally, it would be like 2,000 to 3,000 for the budget that we're spending right now. That 3,000 to hit that 700,000 revenue goal that I told you, it would be about 3,000 signups is what I'm trying to get to. This is obviously on pace to probably close to 6,000. So that we might shatter our goal. Don't want to set expectations too high, but really interested in sharing those results with you guys.
So I was going to say, make sure you guys check out probably going to be our second episode. We're going to do another episode in between these where we're going to break down, and we don't know how regular we're going to do. We're going to try to get this into a regular thing. We literally decided to basically pull the trigger on this podcast like 2 days ago. We've been talking about it. We just decided to literally do it like 2 days ago. But I think one of the coolest things was I remember Cody doing a LinkedIn post about one of these sales events, and he's like, hey, we're going to see if this is going to work. And then he did a follow-up post, and he was like, we did succeed in parts, but we also failed in some parts. And I think if you come back and listen to the podcast or watch this on YouTube or wherever you're going to listen to this, hopefully you'll find some value in the sense that we're going to be transparent about whether or not Cody's goals for this campaign actually work. And I'm saying Cody because as much as I like to think I have left and right brain, I'm definitely more whatever the creative side of the brain is. But I think me and our editor, Mason, he agrees. We get pumped when Cody tells us, hey, by the way, we're getting tons of signs up right now. Hey, by the way, we're having a huge return on this sales event. And I know a lot of people think that creatives don't get excited about that we only get excited about making creative content. Actually, I think we get more excited about being competitive and seeing our campaign succeed. And so it'll be cool on that next episode to see a good return for you. And you guys hit that 700,000 goal. Is there any other numbers that you want to hit? Is there profit? I don't know. On the e-commerce side, is there a profit margin you want to be at? Because I don't know if you talk about that on your offer, but your offer has to be profitable.
Yeah,
Did you talk about that?
There is a profit goal. So when I think of profit or gross profit, that's what I think of it. Gross profit for me is is revenue minus any variable direct cost of sale expense, right? So one of the big things that I typically look at is obviously the landed cost of the goods, right? So how much did it cost us to get it to our fulfillment center? Then I look at advertising. We want to make sure we put advertising in there, and then we want to put in our fulfillment fees, and then our payment processing, referral fees, whether it's a referral fee to influencers or a referral fee to Amazon, or just the payment processing that's on our Shopify platform. And so our goal is to try to get to 20% basically once you've tracked all those out. I think that's everything. And then maybe you can put in your return rate. I know we have a pretty low return rate, so we don't typically worry about that, but I know some of you brands will want to make sure you account for potential returns. But yeah, 20% gives us basically plenty of money to pay our employees and pay all our overhead and our fixed expenses and any expenses that aren't directly related to the cost of sale.
Do you think that this sales event model that we've done it with other companies outside of so one of the cool things is Cody works full time for an e-commerce brand. On the side, he's able to help us on a digital marketing side. And don't get me wrong, I've tried to get him to come work with us because I like having someone be able to say like, hey, this is the kind of creative that we need, and to help us know where it goes. Because like, most of the companies we work with, we do a lot of organic content, which is very important. Actually, me and Cody used to butt heads a lot about organic content. I think I finally won him over where organic content is important. So the main company we're talking about here is a PPE company, but we've also done a mattress topper company. And we've done, for the PPE company, we've done more sales events like holidays. For the mattress company, we've created sales events, like they're not holidays. And I would say that the mattress hasn't been as successful as the PPE company, but the PPE is a regular occurring, like we're doing content on a really regular basis, versus the mattress company. They're doing content on their own, but it's not the same content we're doing for the sales events. So can you kind of talk about like, do you think that this is transferable even if they're not doing everything the way your company's doing?
Yeah, I 100% think it's like that was a cool thing. These were two separate industries. I had no idea if what I did where on our side would work, and we did see incremental gains with them. And like Kate said, it wasn't as well as as my brand, but my brand, we've been doing these for 3 or 4 years now. So we've kind of been building this this hype campaign, this hype train. People are expecting it out of us. And then another thing is, and this was another cool little test to do, was that we offer, the BOGO free. We do bigger discounts on these bigger promotional events. So it's, of course, people are going to try to sign up because they're like, they see the word, again, free, right? But with this example, this mattress topper company, we did 25% off, and it still worked. We still got people like it. And, that is what's really cool about this, is that you don't have to have a crazy offer, but you got to make it sound crazy. You got to hype it up.
It does have to be a good enough offer. It does have to be true value to the customer.
I do think if we're just talking about like the discount value, which doesn't necessarily mean it has to be a discount. It could be buy something, get something else free. We're actually about to do that.
I'm going to throw something out there that Cody can agree or disagree with his analytical mind, but I also think if you're going to do this for the first time, you haven't done something like this, especially on an e-commerce. Traditional retail, they do sales all the time. I came from traditional retail where we did local TV commercials, and one of the companies was it was a smaller company, but it was a big store for like electronics, right? Like TVs and things like that. And they had a sales event like every other week. And I was like, why are we doing this? Aren't the buyers gonna get fatigued? And they're like, surprisingly, it doesn't. We've talked about that. Buyers.
I will say, I think you got to be careful. Like this BOGO free event is twice a year. That's it, right? Well, we limit it very, very few times, and we make it. And this is another tip I would say. When you say this sale ends, end that sale.
End it, yeah. And then I was going to say,
you don't set that expectation.
For someone that's just starting out, I don't know if they would want to do a BOGO or up to 50% off or anything like that, because unless like you don't do it again for like another year or so, because you want it's not being rude to your buyers to say we kind of want them to forget a little about, because we try to do with your company, Cody. You remember we tried doing a 30% off on a product that was new. It was a new product. We did a launch. So we did it up to 30% off. And I don't know if this is true, but I was telling Cody I don't know if it was as successful because people might be like expecting BOGO, because even though it's twice a year, I feel like you guys got a lot of repeat customers and stuff.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that, because we do percentage off, and they're pretty successable. The BOGOs are going to be great, right? They're always going to be great because, again, that word free. But that one, I definitely I set I think $140,000 launch goal for this new product, and we only did about $70,000. Funny thing is that I set my budget for probably about $70,000. So as long as you set conservative budgets and you exceed those expectations, you're going to be okay. But the big key here is don't go to an offer that puts strain on your business. For me, the single biggest thing is making sure that your numbers are good. That the offer is profitable, or else it's not. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, yeah, you could do buy one, get one free, but if you're losing money, unless that's a strategy of yours, I think that's a stupid strategy. But if it is, go ahead.
A e-commerce business using like an agency, but you don't have to, right? You can do this in-house.
100%.
Most of this you were doing in-house. The only reason Cody has outsourced, I will say, I felt like I've gotten on. We're twins, we're brothers. He gave me a chance when I launched my business to do. I think we were doing like a half a video shoot a month, and I was giving them the footage. They had a creative in house, and she was editing it, and that was how we got our partnership started. And then every year it's kind of gone up. But I will say, like, for a long time, a lot of what we're talking about here, which is mostly the digital side, we're not really talking as much about the creative side. The creative is important, but not in this particular sense. Cody did a lot of this in-house first for their company. And then just recently, this past year in 2023, you started putting processes in place to outsource. First off, what do people need to think about if they're going to try to tackle this in-house? What are some things that they might need to, I don't know, maybe throw it a curve. You may didn't know this was going to be a question or not, but, and then also, like, what have you learned about outsourcing to multiple agencies for an event like this? Let's just keep it in the idea for this event.
First off, I'm a big guy for processes and SOPs. I feel like you don't do that until you really know what you're doing. And what the sales event, the promotional, like for like Black Friday, Cyber Monday, for example, we've done it over and over. We've probably done it like before this year 3 times. I think we've done it at least. So basically, one of the things that in my head is extremely important is once you've kind of got something, a formula that works, is put that pen to paper, right? And write it down a little bit and be able to actually tell people how to do it. Now, if you're going to do it internally, the fun part about the internal is that I think it was Travis Chambers that said this, is like, how do you know when you're done? Try to get to 100%, try to remember everything that you wanted to include on the campaign, and then, add a little 10% extra to it. And then you're probably going to be doing pretty well there. But as for this particular campaign, the first time it's a risk. Like I said, it's a lot easier for us right now to project potential sales because we've done it before. So we know kind of how people are going to interact, how it's going to increase sales, how it's going to the multiple from people that sign up versus people that didn't even tell us that they're going to participate that do end up participating. Like all those ratios and percentages now allow us to get a lot more accurate projections. Sometimes we're still off, like the product launch sale, but for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, this BOGO free, we know, what we're getting into. So, but the first time you get into it, you're going to have to take a chance. There was another company that we've been talking to, and that's what we told them. Like, there's not a lot, you can't project with nothing, right? You can do a lot of macro research and stuff, but you got to set some type of goal, a budget, and see if you can hit it. And if you don't, then, next time you kind of readjust based off of those numbers. And
you're going to get
just
better.
Keep doing that.
And you're going to get better when you have more data to work with. I know it. That's probably creating fatigue for a lot of marketers as people talk about, like, you got to have data. You got to have the analytics to look back on it. But it is important to know, like,
you don't need,
projection standpoint. You use a little bit of last year's, right? But
I use last year, and when you're talking about historical data, it's not like this big data set, right? It's literally can be qualitative analysis, right? Look at for example, video campaigns. What we'll do is I'll look at the video. Okay, why did this one get so many signups or so many purchases, but this other one didn't? Because a lot of our video, especially on these sales campaigns, are very similar, but certain words, maybe the first 3 seconds of the hook, is a little different. The transition on screen, the visual hook and the audio hooks, you look for those little things that might, and then you can also then actually create like a split test. Like, so on graphic design, this is great. Like it might have been last Black Friday, Cyber Monday, or it could have been last year's Memorial Day, but we couldn't decide. No, it was Prime Day. So it was a Prime Day sale, and we were like, is it better? I think it was actually you creating these graphics for us, Casey. And we were like, what's better? 40% off, saying that in big, or the Prime Day itself. And for us, from what I have seen, is that the 40% off graphics tend to get better signups, tend to get better sales. When that is the big text, like the offer is the biggest thing on there, not necessarily the event itself. Now, I do think the event's very, very important, and they do actually work when those are big, but they don't work quite as well. So just, it's as simple as that, like looking at the creative and determining, okay, why do we think? And then once you make that hypothesis, to go in there and test it. okay, we're going to do two. We're going to do a little split test, and see which one actually wins. And sometimes you have to do that multiple times as well because one-offs, sometimes can be a lie.
So something else I was going to bring up is a couple tips for people if they're getting into this, into like a sales event type hype campaign and the creative that they're going to use, the actual ads they're going to create. You mentioned like having someone on camera, and we've learned this, having someone on camera is paramount. Like it's crazy. It's like a spokesperson, and they can be goofy, they can be serious, they can be conversational, but having someone very real,
like we actually have research in doing voiceovers versus someone on camera, and the on camera works so much better, and that kind of irks me a little bit on LinkedIn. I have a lot of respectable marketers on there, but a lot of people are pushing like the AI voiceover, which I mean, if you have a limited budget, it might be great. But for me, just a voiceover, it's not the same as cutting to someone talking. You can still have B-roll and stuff, but like actually seeing someone talking to you, I think it just makes it so much more.
And I was gonna say, like, I'm sure like some of the voiceover stuff has worked a little bit. Like if we look at it, like we've talked about the Memorial Day when we had like the graphic big, but it was like a combination of huge graphics, the product and B-roll being prominent, and then the voiceover was just supporting. We don't know, like, I would love to look to see how much of that data do people actually turn the audio on in those instances, because where I'm going at here is
that's a good thing. So like, do they turn your question is, do they turn it on when they see someone speaking more? Which actually, if I think about it, I do that. But if I'm just watching like let's say Call of Duty, right? You watch someone play gameplay. Sometimes I'm just gonna watch it.
So for me, I interact with social videos differently, but I don't turn audio on most of the time because I want to have it on my headphones or whatever. But let's say I will watch actually more social media probably on my computer than most people do, because I'll do it while I'm like rendering out a video or something. But I always have closed captionings on, because but I also will say the videos that have burnt in, we didn't really talk about this, but have the burnt in closed captions, so have the titles, have the text burnt into the video. And what that means, Cody's looking at me, I don't know if he knows what I'm saying. What I'm saying is like the text, it looks like closed captioning, but you can't turn it on and off. It's actually built into, it's graphics built into it. But I will say, when I read, this is why the 3-second hook, or having like true, like when you say something that it's actually interesting, it's actually thinking about almost Dr. Seussing it, right? Like having like a rhyme, like if think about a national brand, someone who's really good at that is like the Power of the Home Depot. They always will have like this really catchy intro, normally in audio with their voiceover or whatever. But if I would have read that on text, it would have probably triggered me to turn it on. So sometimes on social, what gets me is emotional stuff. So if I see someone saying like, I can't believe, I was able to save $10,000 or something like that, and you read that before you turn the audio on, I guarantee you're probably going to turn it on to figure out how the heck did they win to, or how did they produce $10,000, whatever it was.
I do agree with. I completely forgot about that. That was another new part of our strategy is text overlays, right? And it's our own closed captioning. The reason we do, you can just use the Facebook build, but sometimes it's not going to.
Well, you can edit those. Most people they just don't take the time to do it.
Yeah, I was doing that early on, right? But what's cool about doing
both, I think you should have at least have the auto closed captionings always on, like, because you can turn that. You can, I think, not always on, but I think like when you upload it, when you upload the video, you should just say, go ahead and auto closed caption it for people that. I think there's a SEO play there, like it.
Oh, that could be
running the closed caption.
Oh, that's a fun part. But we kind of talked about that. We can talk about that more in like general content strategy at some point when we do.
I think we definitely. General. I think you do a whole episode just about like
the
text and stuff.
One of the idea is think about like if you have text. So just kind of finish my thought from a second ago was the cool thing about doing your own custom text is you can change the colors of it. You can make them big, and you can make certain words big and bold, and
highlight certain words.
Yeah. And that's the fun part of it, right? But to Casey's point, like let's say you have words in there, or like you have an entire video talking about something in particular, you can actually use this to kind of create search demand for your product or your service that you're online. You're trying to get people to search something on Google so that you can start ranking for that word. If you're already indexing, you're already kind of ranking, you might be able to, if they search your brand plus that word, it's going to be great. So why not put those words in your video ads, like, so for example, would be like, CBRN, the CBRN mask, like our brand plus CBRN, and you're going to pop up.
And this is applicable not just to a sales event. Again, we're talking about
That
our
that
Cyber
is more,
Monday,
that.
Black Friday sales event. I did that backwards, but
And the way we're doing this is our brand name plus BOGO free sale, and that way we're not really doing that for the SEO part. It's literally just to capture more leads. Like we just we see it in our attribution software. Again, shout out Northbeam, where basically people are starting maybe on YouTube, or they're starting on an influencer or Facebook, but they actually end up going to search our brand name, and that's what's getting the last click attribution. But reality, they would have never known to search our brand if they did not see our video somewhere else.
If you're an e-commerce company, you've never done a sales event, I'm going to give you a couple tips, and Cody's probably going to either agree or disagree, but I think he's going to agree. Like Cody said, go ahead and don't be scared to be on camera. I'm terrified of being on camera. I think Cody was a little scared before, and he's gotten really good being on camera. I'm working on myself being on camera, getting better. But don't be afraid to be on camera, be yourself.
And honestly, promote your business better than yourself.
Yeah, no one can promote it. And I will say this, us as directors, a lot of times we tell this all the time, is if you don't feel awkward on camera, if you don't feel like you're going over the top, you're probably not doing enough excitement. You're probably not getting there. Because you can go too far. And we do this with Cody's brand a lot for the funny part of it. We want to be funny, so we go a little bit over the top. But even if you're doing something that's a little bit more conversational, more like you're a mom brand, and you're the target market, you are a mom, and you kind of want to still be funny, but you also want to be kind of considerate and caring towards your audience and stuff. That's fine, but you still want to have energy. You still want to project. You want to sit up, things like that. So that's my first tip, is get on camera. That's going to be quick. Plus, you're going to probably be able to edit. And I said you can do this with your cell phone, doing selfies. But something Cody did, and I don't know if he knew I was going to bring this up, he used Canva to make little video ads, little small motion graphic ads with big, bold. Actually, before you did Canva, you did Windows Movie Maker or something.
Yeah, but with the Movie Maker, those are fun because again, I just kind of honed into the things that
big text still works too.
Yeah, there's a lot of logic that has always been true in marketing, right? Quick movements on the video, like that. Basically moving from one thing within the first 3 seconds and getting basically again visual hook, right? And then the same thing with as Kate said, Canva. Like we still actually for Fall Prime Day, all we had was static and motion graphic ads because Casey was busy.
Yeah, we dropped the ball on that.
That wasn't his fault. We had three or four.
We were doing some other
very,
sales
very
event,
quickly.
and then Cody's like, "Well, I put this in the thing," and I was like, "Oh man, even us working that I will say that's one downfall of working with an agency. Oh my God, I'm talking crap because I'm an agency, but one downfall we're pretty close because again we're brothers, but we've also talked about Cody helps me a lot with our agency works in two different ways. We work with local and industrial businesses that are culture driven. That's one of our core audiences. We work with a lot of companies that are manufacturing and stuff, but then we kind of split, and we've also started to grow a lot of brands in e-commerce because of working with Cody's brand. And he said that, he goes, the agencies we work with, the ones that we want to keep working with are kind of like you guys, where we feel like you're in-house a little bit. And so I'm just going down a little bit of a rabbit hole of that's important. Communication is so key, especially on these sales events, to make sure that if you're working with an agency that you have someone on your team pushing that agency. I know that you want the agency to
planning early is a big thing.
And you want the agency to be self-sufficient, but you have to have a touch point person on your own e-commerce team, because no one's really going to push your brand. I don't care how good of an agency they are. Things get slipped through the cracks. So you need to make sure that someone's there to follow up.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that what I was trying to say was that also when you plan these events early, like Black Friday, Cyber Monday, we always knew what our offer was going to be. So that was pretty easy, right? And we knew that Black Friday, Cyber Monday was coming around. So we've been sending inventory. We had a purchase order that's going to land right before the event. And we have plenty of stock here, making sure your inventory is there. That's just, e-com. But what's great about it, when you're planning this early and you get the edits filmed, the ads filmed and edited, I can now go in and we can do a little bit more, right? We have time to actually fix things and make sure it's the way that we want
this
it.
One, shout out to Mason, our editor, who knocked out the original Black Friday, Cyber Monday edits this year really early. And then me and Cody went and filmed some more for it. We actually ended up adding like some like day of ads.
So that's so one of the new things we're gonna be trying here is actually switching out the ad creative for during the event and the last day, and kind of creating some urgency with some of our ads.
This is the last day. This is Cyber Monday. Like, it's the last day of the sales event. If you want to take advantage of this BOGO, it's going to end today. And that goes back to making sure that you do in the sales event, because otherwise, I will say, when I talked about that retail store, they would do holdover events all the time. They'd be like, Cyber Monday deal held over for another week. And
yeah. So we won't do that. Now, one thing that you could do, and we dabble in, is we do usually say while supplies last. But if we have like units coming in, we might turn it on and leave it up during the event as a pre-sale, and we clarify that on the listings and let people know. But I do want to circle back to the idea of energy on camera, because I do think that's a big thing that all e-com brands, like, and the ones that we are working with, they kind of tell us is like, I'm just not that comfortable on there. And like, how do you know like how much energy is? So the way that I think about it is like the way me and Casey engage with marketing, or like when we talk like about Notre Dame football, big Notre Dame football fans, shout out Irish. They're awesome. But when we get excited and we start, and like, just think about when you get excited about something you're really passionate about, that's the energy that you want to bring.
You start talking really loud.
Yeah, you don't have to fake
one of my
it.
favorite podcasts. Just
like it's contagious, you know. And then the other thing that Mason, again, shout out Mason. Oh, that was loud. Sorry. Is that he started incorporating a lot of my mess ups. Like I cuss in a lot of my ads, but like my mess ups and whatnot. And
or you awkwardly stare at the camera at the end of the ad.
I awkwardly stare, whatever it might be, right? Just goofy mess ups. He leaves them in there. He makes it part of the edit, and we actually get comments on our videos, and they say, "Oh, this is so funny. It's so relational. Like, I love how you messed up there."
Real.
Yeah, it's very
authentic.
Real. And
that's a buzzword, but it's true.
Yeah, and that's how we're hoping this podcast takes off. We're hoping people actually like us as people, and we hope we get better over time as well. And
I hope I'm not coughing the whole time.
And I'm hoping, Casey, that coughing can get pretty freaking annoying.
Hopefully we can mute it. My wife's making me sleep on the recliner.
It's fine. What time are we at right now, Casey?
We're at 53 minutes, so I think we're going to wrap up. So here's what I'm going to do to wrap up. I don't even know if you went through all 5 of your steps, but give the 5 actionable steps to a good sales event that you've seen. Just don't even just do the 5 points, and then they can. And I'm going to say this too. Cody's really accessible. I'm really accessible. Message us on LinkedIn if you have questions about creative, and like you want to talk about gear. If you want to talk about, I always say diminishing point of return. So like how high quality does your ad have to be before you're wasting money on making it look good. Feel free to message me if you want to talk about these specific strategies or whatever. I'm telling you, message Cody. Follow him on LinkedIn because he posts some pretty cool content about, like, he'll do like Loom videos of hey, check this out. We were trending on here, and this is how this happened. Like he's not doing it like we literally do it. We don't have a course. We don't. I'm doing this podcast because
I don't make any money on this.
Yeah, he don't make any money. I'm doing a podcast.
Yeah,
we are an
maybe
agency.
one day. I don't know. But right now, I just do it because I like talking about it.
Exactly.
And I think
take
in the
Cody
marketing
says and test it out is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and then in the marketing world, we all got to be more transparent. We gotta share more ideas. We gotta actually say what we did, because it's not what I do is not gonna work for everybody. And on the other side, I could tell you exactly what I do, and you probably won't be able to execute it as well as me. Not being cocky is like, because there are things I'm just gonna forget. Not on
you
purpose.
Don't even know you're doing it.
Yeah. There are things that you just
it's the same thing.
For example, we like to turn our emails to single opt-in, our sign up campaigns, because they already have to click an ad. They already have to scroll through our sign up page and see the entire offer before they sign up. So we're already qualifying them. Why do I want them to have to get a double subscribe? Those type of things are things that I would normally forget to tell you.
If you're not doing anything for a sales event, especially for Cyber Monday or for like this week at Cyber Weekend, even now, hopefully by the time you hear this, you'll have time to get something out there. But even for just next year, maybe not, but even for next year, for any kind of sales event.
Save this podcast for next year.
Do a New Year's.
Yeah.
Do a New Year's Day sales event.
Yeah.
New Year, New You.
That's awesome. I like that.
Anyway,
good idea.
So with that being said, Cody, break down your 5 points, and I don't think you got through all 5 of them. You got close to it, but but don't even want you to break them down. I just want you to list them out so that they know, and then we can. And basically, I say that if you want more information, just message us, and we'll tell you exactly how to those are implemented.
So the number one thing, in my opinion, is making sure you have a profitable offer that is packaged in an enticing way to the customer, right? That they will get them to perform an action, right? Number two is go ahead and create that hype campaign. Create a lead generation, build hype around your sales event. Don't just advertise during the sales event. I
Basically
think
a lead magnet.
Yeah, lead magnet. But like I swear that
your lead magnet is the offer. It's like subscribing for the offer.
It is literally one of the best things that we ever did was switching to a lead up campaign strategy. Number three, creative. We'll talk about the creative there. Is make sure 3A. Make sure they marry up. Your creative matches, your landing page matches what is being served on the ad platforms. And then, of course, if you're going to do videos, be on camera, be the guy selling your product. People love hearing from it. It can be iPhone footage. The iPhone ones, for us, I mean, let me see here real quick. Sorry. Actually leading the charge in one of our campaigns. It has 39 subscribes versus 36 of our more professional ones. So that's kind of cool. So don't be afraid to do iPhone footage. And then, the other parts that I didn't get to is email SMS. Like if you're going to get their information, leverage that stuff. SMS kills it for us. Email does it. Target them, email them constantly during the event. Let them know what's going on. Create a sense of urgency. And then, of course, the final thing is analyze it. Make sure.
Would retargeting be in the analyzing part, or?
Yeah, and retargeting. Don't forget to retarget. But like that's part of the email, SMS. Retarget them on Facebook, whatever it might be. Make sure you are engaging with them during the event. And of course, the final one, in my opinion, is analysis. Right, and again, it doesn't have to be this big statistical analysis. No, it can just be as easy as looking at your creative and seeing which ones worked, like which one actually
turn off. Like if you're doing it and you have ones that are working, can you say budget go to those?
Yeah, you can. That'd be something that we can dive in deeper on another one. But basically, we use dynamic creative, so it will automatically move budget, which is awesome.
And when you say obviously analysis, just one last thing is, don't be afraid to. Yes, you got to let it ride out a little bit, but these aren't long events. Like you're advertising for 2 weeks, and then the event's going for 3 or 4 days. So you have to decide: do we need to change something? Then change it. I would say though, if you're just starting off, don't change too much. Let Facebook handle it, right? Or let whatever ad platform you're using handle it.
I've changed it. The longer the campaign, the more ability you can to go in there and optimize it. But if you do a good, I've came back around to the idea of sticking to your strategy. Don't pivot because someone else has changed. Someone's advertising earlier than you or cheaper than you. Don't change because of them. Stick to your guns. Know that you did the research. You did the groundwork, and it should do well. And then after the event, in my opinion, especially if they're a short event and it's not going to make or break you, like especially when you invest money into these ads, like don't invest money that you're afraid to lose. Like what happens if you, like, let's say you just want to do $2,000 for 2 weeks, which is what a lot of people do. Are you okay with losing that? Then, spend $2,000. But, yeah, I want to optimize too much during it. I'm more of a post, like, okay, what worked and what didn't work,
So anyway, hopefully you guys brought that brought some value to you guys about doing a hype event for a sales event, or how to market a sales event for your e-commerce business. And like I said, this is our first podcast episode, the Twin Marketers podcast. But I want you guys to come back and listen to the follow-up episode where we kind of break down whether or not Cody's brand was able to reach the goals that he set out at the beginning of this podcast. And again, we'll film that after probably after Thanksgiving and everything.
Yeah. I think this will be a good one on the follow-up, is to dive deeper into the creative and actually showing like why did this piece of creative work over this other one. And we'll give you guys kind of our ideas. And then, you might even see us test that idea going forward, because that's usually what happens is you make a hypothesis and then you test it.
Yep. So if you like this, please share it. Hopefully we figure out how to get it on all the platforms, and so you can rate it, share it with people that you think will find value on it. And send us messages on LinkedIn. We're really active on LinkedIn, so I'll say send us messages on LinkedIn or comment on posts if we have a teaser of this on LinkedIn or whatever.
I think we'll probably post on LinkedIn.
It'll be on
I definitely
YouTube.
want to make sure it's on YouTube.
It won't be able to, the whole thing won't be able to go on LinkedIn because LinkedIn only lets you do 10-minute videos.
Okay, well, we can do a little short teaser.
Yeah, we can do a teaser to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, ask us questions about what you think would be kind of cool for us to cover on these podcasts because, like, I mean, we're still not like the most experienced marketers, but we do bring a unique perspective because we always say, like, if we were one person, we'd be perfect, we'd be, one brain, right? I'm totally joking, but he's left-handed, I'm right-handed, but anyway, if you like this,
I'm more than happy to share a lot of data. Like, I want to be transparent here. Like I said, one of the big things here is we want to make sure that you guys know exactly what we're doing and how it's working so that you can go and try to do it yourself.
And hopefully in the future we'll be able to bring some guests on and things like that. So if you guys have any like guests that you're like, hey, that'd be kind of cool, we'll have to think the logistics on it because I like doing things in person, but we may start doing these where we're not in person, so we'll be able to bring guests on virtually and things like that. So anyway, so check us out on our next episode, and hopefully, again, you guys got some value from this.
All right.
That's it.
That's a wrap.
That's
Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye-bye now. See ya.